Jeff Bezos was not there today. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, Jeff is usually increasingly he's not in the front of he may be running the company surely, but isn't put his face out there for product announcements. I think the last one, John, you were at when they announced
Kindle Fire HD,
like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I think maybe that tells you that this is just an extension of what they're already doing. Like, did Amazon really have to come out with an amazing amount of bells and whistles? I think they were pushing the idea of voice search today. You know, I can say John Malkovich's name if I happen to like John Malkovich, and I'll be able to find movies and TV. Look, Amazon already is relatively well positioned in the living room because of what they've been doing with video. To take the next step that they took today is kind of an obvious one, because through Amazon.com, they're already selling so many of these boxes that aren't their own. So maybe that's the message of Jeff Bezos not being there.
So, Rajiv, you worked with Amazon as they were developing this. What was that process like?
Well, you know, I think the thing that struck us the most is that the team that's been working on it from the Amazon side were very open and very quick to support. The support was outstanding for us as a developer to add support for this device. They have really thought through the basics, and I think that's the one thing that stands out to me about this device relative to the other ones, is a sort of a focus on the basics. You hit play, things start playing, it looks good. It goes back to the comment that Ed made earlier about performance and why does this really matter. Screens are getting bigger, the TV screens are bigger, and if the video's HD or Super HD or 1080p, you're going to need more processing power on the device in order to make the videos look good. You also need faster connections to make it all work better. So I think there's a number of things that they've focused on which we really appreciated.
What about the content selection?
Yeah, I mean, this is one where it's increasingly hard to differentiate. You know, you have to have Netflix and you have to have Hulu, and I think they've got both of those services now. And they have Amazon Prime. So you put those three things together from an on-demand perspective, on-demand video perspective, they've got a great lineup. Now you switch and think about live content and linear content coming via the digital delivery mechanism. That's just starting to come together, regardless of whether it's...
That being what, sports and...
Sports, one of our partners is the ACC, the college conference, you know, sports content, live news content, like your own service. I think these are just starting to come on to, whether it's this device or the Apple TV or any other device, we're just starting to see linear content.
We shouldn't leave out games, too. I mean, I think that PowerPoint
and they have a couple of games in there.
Yeah,
and a game controller.
Right, exactly. So they've got this game that was built from scratch specifically for this box, and then you can buy a game controller if you want to. So I think that the power commentary is partly on that as a differentiator for them.
Well, I feel like there's a, when it comes to understanding entertainment technology, we've got three real strong categories now that are very different approaches, right? As we continue to sit around and think, this thing that Steve Jobs talked about in Walter Isaacson's book, did he figure out TV? But when it comes to understanding entertainment tech, we've got kind of three approaches here. We've got the one approach of game consoles, where you've got Sony and Microsoft with their approach. You've got video streaming devices with Google, Roku, and now this Amazon device. Then you've got the smart TV itself, the physical TV from the likes of LG and Panasonic and Samsung, and I should add Sony as well. But those seem to be sort of three different camps, and I wonder if one will emerge, and if one, and let me ask you, helps get around the issues raised by a Comcast-Time Warner merger, where in 19 of the 20 largest cities, you'll have someone who decides what service you get fast and what service you don't get fast.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. I think the first part of the answer is that I think it is true that game consoles, for instance, clearly serve a slightly different audience than, say, a streaming player or a smart TV does. It's someone whose primary purpose for purchasing the device is a game or playing games. The price is higher. You don't see a $100 game console in the market too often. The expectations on behalf of the buyer is also a little different. Video is important, but it's an adjunct to the gaming experience. You take a streaming player, video is the first thing that people are looking to. This market, the audience, the demographic is more people who are looking to either pull back on their cable subscription or augment their cable service with on-demand services. It's a slightly different market that's going out and buying these products, and the price ranges anywhere from $35 for Chromecast to $99 for the Amazon Fire TV.
But when you've got Xbox moving into doing their own TV shows, to Corey's question, I think they're all coming together. I don't know that we even need to distinguish between those three groups, because everybody's kind of
trying a little bit of the other.
Yeah, except for Apple, which is very much still a closed ecosystem, and they made it clear that they were pointing that out. You know, this thing is built on Android.